Okay, so this is my media blog for my video evaluation. The first question is, in what ways does your media project use, develop or challenge forms of conventions of real media products? First of all, we use the conventions of like short films, of how they're short and approximately about 5-10 minutes. Our film was around 2 minutes. And also they have like disequilibrium, new equilibrium, and we basically use the twist of basically the storyline was that their trouble was the fact they couldn't meet and they were trying to meet, and then the twist was at the end where, you know, the picture gets ripped out, so it's a unhappy ending. Ooh, it's wobbling. We also challenged the conventions of animation because we had stop motions where it was sketchy and it was kind of fragmented to a bit, and you know, they're not normally like that in animation. We also used the typical conventions for music, as we had aeroplane sounds, the character giggling, aeroplane sound throughout it, and we had a ukulele soundtrack. We also used the normal coding conventions for, that, you know, people expect for a short film of there being like 2-3 characters. We had a man and woman, just 2 characters. We also used the same location, because most normally have 1 or 2 locations due to budget costs and etc. We had basically 2 books, and the only reels from that. We also challenged on develop the convention of our animation, as we used real life products, so like we used petals, we used sweets, we made an envelope, things like that, so it was real life as well as that. We used a like film scene at the end where we also used pictures to write all of it, so we like kind of changed the conventions of there only being like pictures, because like I said before, we do quite a variety of stuff. We've used quite a few. We challenged like the normal conventions of this because there's quite a lot of props, because normally there's like only 1 or 2 props because they can't afford more or such like that. We didn't really have any money for it, so we kind of used things around us, so we were challenging those conventions because we didn't have expensive things, or we didn't have the money to go to far destinations, and that's why we found animation quite a lot easier. We challenged the short film convention of stop motions by like drawing the scenes by scene by scene. Like we did about 7 to 10 frames a second, whereas stop motion does use about 12ish, and short films do about 24 a second. We did this to make it more fragmented, which was kind of our aim at first, but then it became more, it looked good that way. This is kind of typical for like, you know, things like that. So overall we challenged quite a lot, but most of them weren't like good enough, so it kind of like